Hello YouTube. This is a presentation about how I pretty much went from a fighting game noob to hitting master rank in Street Fighter 6. A little bit about my FGC history is there almost isn't any. I really played Strive as my first fighting game. I played Tekken 7 and I barely reached the brawler rank, which is essentially the starting rank of this is really where rank starts. And in Street Fighter 6, I got placed into rookie. So essentially, I was a fighting game noob. I was bad, essentially. But this is actually why I think that what I'm about to say might have more relevance to you than something like a Say Jam or Nephew, because of course those kinds of professional content creators, they'll get the new character to master rank in like 2 streaming sessions, of course. But me, if I couldn't even do special cancels or DP inputs properly for the first few weeks that I played the game, and I could hit master rank, that means you can hit master rank. And this is how I did it. This is how I got good. First of all, before just get ahead of this, what is good? I am straight up, right as of the last time I played rank, which hasn't been a couple months, so I'm worse now, I was 1200, right? Which means I'm actually not good. But it is a master rank, and I have never really played competitive video games. I'm in my 30s now, but this was like the first time being more competitive in video games, and like I said, I started in rookie rank, and I got to master. So this is something, this is meaningless number, this is just a meaningless digital number no one cares about, except for me. And that's why I'm like proud of it. So I'm going to say the word good. If I ever use the word good in this presentation, do it with this in context, okay? Because I know I'm still bad, but I became less bad. And this is how I did it, and I want to share a little bit about that. Okay, these are some plateaus that I hit, specifically Plat 1 and Diamond 1. Those were the hardest to break. These are the ones I spent a few weeks, and this is back when I was playing like every day. I spent a few weeks in these 2 ranks. Those are the hardest ones to hit. But how I eventually got better, a lot of these are self-explanatory. Watch educational SF videos on YouTube, you know, load up your favorite flavor of Say Jam and, you know, watch some of their videos. Practice drills, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this later. Review your games, do your VOD reviews. This is the most important one. It is also the one you are least likely to do, but we're going to talk about that as well. I like to review other people's games at my level or slightly above the level I'm at. I think that when you watch just high-level gameplay, it's a different game. Like, the mind games that they're doing at that level are a little bit different. So I think that actually watching VODs of other people that are at your level or a little bit, maybe 1 or 2 ranks above, is actually more useful because you'll see what other game plans other players are using and what's being effective. And practice intentionally. We've all had it where we practice combos. We could do them 10 times in the training room, and as soon as you go into a real game, it's all out of the window. So I think that specifically setting aside time to practice the specific skill that you're working on, I think is really important. And number 6, kind of surprising, but for real, read books. I'm gonna have 3 books listed later. I don't know, I think books are like one of 3 real life cheat codes. So read books, specifically about learning and getting better at the game. This is how I specifically got better at the game. Diaphones, what to learn at every Street Fighter 6 rank. This video, this is the thumbnail, I'll have a link in the description. It was actually the thing that really helped it click for me that fighting games, there's hundreds of skills to learn in fighting games, and you don't need to be proficient at all of them. You don't even need to be proficient at most of them. You just need to be effective at some of them and then slowly add skills as you go up. Essentially what he does in this video is he identifies a few skills. He takes a new account, starts it at, you know, rookie rank, at iron rank, and he identifies a few key skills at each rank, and he doesn't do anything else. He has a very simple, and he walks through it, it's awesome. He walks through his game plan in every rank, and I think he gets to master rank in like a single stream session. It really clicked for me that I was thinking about the game wrong. I talked about practice drills. Chris F has a bunch of practice drills. If you just look up Chris F, practice drills, Street Fighter 6, he has awesome ones. I think the tools in the game are pretty good. You go to training room and you could do like anti-air drills and stuff, but they don't simulate a real match environment very well. And they're very short. They're awesome tutorials about like how to set up the training room to more closely mimic a real game scenario. YouTube in general, this in-game replay system is one of the greatest tools for getting better. This is the most, if you only did one thing and it was to watch VOD replays, you would get so much better, so much faster. We're going to talk a little bit more about this. Casual matches, I think that I talked about intentionally applying things that you're learning. Casual matches is the place to do it. You have to think of casual matches as like a tool that you can use to get better, because it will help you be risky, try new plans, try new game plans, try new buttons without the stress of losing rank points. And some of these books, these are some of the books that I read that really helped me get better at learning. Specifically, Range by David Epstein. This book teaches you how to learn. Inner Game of Tennis. I think a lot of other fighting game players have talked about this book before. This is where I found out about it. Inner Game of Tennis by Timothy Galloway. This book teaches you about how to teach. And I put Atomic Habits here. This one's optional. There's all of these sort of habit building self-help books, optional. But Range by David Epstein teaches you how to learn. Inner Game of Tennis teaches you how to teach, which in turn teaches you how to learn. And maybe something else. Okay, I talked about how I changed my thinking about what fighting games were. I think it's easy for people to think about fighting games as like, it's about combos, it's about reaction times, it's about all this kind of bullshit. But really, what it is a game of adaptations. You're not playing a rhythm game where you're trying to do this super long combo. What you're doing is you're debating your opponent. And they are going to present you with something, and you have to counter it, okay? The reason why we use RPS so often in the nomenclature of fighting games is because RPS is kind of what the game is. Strikes beat throws, throws beat blocks, and blocks beat strikes. Like, that's really all it is, right? But we autopilot so much of the game because it's so fast, it's so frenetic, that we just autopilot a whole bunch of stuff. We autopilot combos, we autopilot Oki situations, and like, we have to not do that. This was the thing that really helped me understand that I was the person, it sounds obvious, but I'm the one playing the video game, and I can choose to do different things if what I'm doing isn't working. If I'm constantly being throw teched, then I have to shimmy their throw tech. If I'm always being counter hit when I get up from a knockdown, it means that they're doing something meaty to me, so I should block. And the reverse is also true. If something is working, if your opponent is just throwing rock, then only throw paper. You don't have to change your game plan until they have shown you that they're also adapting to you. Yeah, adaptations is the name of the game. Which brings me to the most important thing that I said about how to get better, all right? And it's reflection. You need to watch your games. I did it with a friend because, to be honest, when I was first doing VOD review, it's a skill, and I had no skill in it. So I didn't really know what I was looking for, but I had another friend who also was really, Street Fighter 6 was his first real fighting game. And he was gracious enough, I asked him for help, and he was gracious enough to say, like, I'll review VODs with you. And almost every day, I watched one VOD for like a few weeks, and he was there in a Discord call with me, and he, gave some of his thoughts. we weren't coming up with the right ideas all the time, but we were thinking about the game, and he helped me sort of explore different buttons, explore different game plans. He pointed out things that I was doing wrong or that I was overdoing, i.e. jumping, drive rush to throws, like things that just were spending a lot of resources and not getting a lot reward out of it. And this is really what got me out of those Plat and Diamond 1 plateaus. You have to VOD review. If you are new to VOD reviewing, you can do one of two things to, while you get better at the skill of VOD review itself, which is find one specific interaction that you can solve. The classic example, I don't know if this is how you spell it, but fucking Jinrai kicks, all right? Figure out if you lose to a Ken and the Ken was doing Jinrai kicks and you got stuffed a whole bunch of times, go into the VOD review and figure out an answer to one of the Jinrai kicks. You don't have to figure out all the nuances between the light kick and the heavy kick and, whatever. Just figure out one interaction, all right? This can be applied to any character. Every character has bullshit, all right? You can figure out, but the thing about the bullshit is that there's like a counter to it. So figure it out. Another thing you can do is sort of the inverse of this, which is instead of finding one specific interaction, notice the larger patterns of your gameplay. If you are in an Oki situation, what do? If round start, are you always doing something? Are you, and this was one of my problems, are you jumping every time you get nervous? If someone's blocking you all the time and your office can't get started, do you jump in? Because I did. And that's something I didn't really realize I was doing until I had done some more reviews. And as I was doing VOD reviews, these are always little adaptations that I found started to work for me. Because as I was starting to do less autopiling and was more in control of what my options were, these were a lot of the options that I noticed were pretty effective. One was to stop or start throwing. A lot of people would throw tech everything, right? So I would start shimmying. I would start jumping into a cross up. I would do something that wasn't drive rush throw or walk up throw. Because if I get there are games where I got throw tech like 8 times. Why am I throwing? They have that option select down, so I have to take advantage of the fact that they are piloting an option select. If they are always doing a certain string, in bronze, in silver, in gold, in platinum, and even in diamond, like a lot of people have a bread and butter, a B&B combo that they just always do. If there is a frame or a space trap involved, there's usually something that you can take advantage of. If there's a gap that you can invincible reversal out of and break that counter hit that combo also, that's something that you got to figure out. You can do that in VOD review. This is mostly me yelling at myself. Stop jumping, you Nintendo plumber looking ass. This is a Super Mario. I can stay on the ground. Overheads. Oh yeah, overheads were awesome. Overheads are so slow, but I get hit by them all the time, and to be honest, like, they work for me when someone has like a really tight defense. And also empty jumping into throws. I just said stop throwing, but here's the thing. If I'm noticing that they are blocking all of my jump-ins, or not anti-airing, just throwing in some throws. All these adaptations seem very small, especially overheads. I don't know, for some reason this clicked it for me. Overheads seem like something so small, it does so little damage, and you don't even, unless it's a start off with the drive rush, like, it doesn't really get you a combo. Once I started implementing overheads into my game plan, and I noticing that this is a situation where an overhead would hit them, it's so often one of these adaptations is the straw that breaks their back. The game is about the mental stack, and sometimes you can be in like a hopeless situation. You just can't get past their defense. You can't get your offense started, but then you add in one adaptation and it's just too much for them. Like in a game of Tetris where you make one mistake and the blocks start piling up in seconds. Sometimes one adaptation is all you need to make them crumble, all right? So be able to turn off these skills on and off. Stopping something is just as important of an adaptation as starting something. And again, you can do this by intentionally practicing these in casual matches. I throw a lot, but I get teched, so I'm just not going to throw at all in this game. Things like that. This is sort of how I got better at the game. I have planned on doing a video on a few more topics, like some of the books that I mentioned, but this is a nice overview of how I eventually got to Masters, and, you know, I believe that you can too.